Chicago Bulls schedule is out now. Me and Pat are going to give our reactions to that schedule, our thoughts. Also, the Bulls have signed Kenny Lofton Jr. We're going to talk about all that plus more on today's Locked On Bulls. I have to edit this out. Why is my mouse tripping? My mouse won't scroll down. All right, there we go.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily Chicago Bulls podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for tuning in to Locked On Bulls, member of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every single day. That is Pat the Designer, host and creator of the Windy City Breeze and host of the Chicago Bears podcast over at ESPN 1000. I'm Haize, host and creator of Chicago Bulls Central and Chicago Bears Central YouTube pages and podcasts. And today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms and conditions do apply. Pat, we got the Bulls' full schedule out, and this schedule is a doozy. First of all, the league average of back-to-backs this season is a little over 14. The Chicago Bulls have 13 back-to-backs in that. We have an extremely long West Coast trip in March at that. And the first month of the season is a doozy for the Chicago Bulls. When you look at this schedule, Pat, how are you feeling, brother?
We're going to know quick. We're going to know real quick about this team.
Yeah.
And this is how it was last season, and it's kind of what I liked, right? You got a lot of answers early on last season, right? It when everybody was out there, you were like, oh God, these guys suck. And then when it was just Kobe and those guys out there, you were like, oh, hold on now, we might have something here.
Yeah.
And then you got a little bit of it back, and you're like, no, exactly what we saw was true. These guys suck when they're all together. That's kind of what I think that this is going to be this season. By the end of the season, I think we end up sitting there knowing who this, not even by the end of the season. I mean, probably well before All-Star break. By the end of the second month of the season, we're gonna be like, this is who this team is. This is what you need to prepare yourself for. And I think that that's always something that, to me, is good to understand early on, because then you can set your expectations based on that. Then you can set, okay, what do we need to see? What do I want to see out of the young guys? What do we need to see out of some of the veterans? Who's getting moved? Who's not getting moved? Stuff like that. So I like a schedule like this because I think that it's a lot of tests early on. The West Coast trip is crazy. This is like the circus trip.
Yeah, it's the
This feels like the circus trip.
Something has to be at the UC for us to have that extended of a trip.
Yeah,
in March. I don't know what's going to be there, but that West Coast trip is Houston, Utah, Phoenix, Sacramento, and the Lakers, and Denver.
Yeah, that's a long trip. That's a long trip. What is the? Hold on, I got to see what the dates are on that mug.
I know it's in March. I think it's in mid-March.
Okay, here it is. Boom, boom, boom. From March. Okay, that's not really West Coast. That's kind of the South, but it is a trip. They play on the West. From March 15th, we play the Rockets. The Bulls don't come home until March 29th.
That's what, 2 weeks before the end of the season?
It's not even 2 weeks. No, well, unless this guy. Oh, because this is the half. No, that's right. No, you're right.
Yeah,
that is 29th to April 13th is our last game. That's a wild way to finish your season.
So we got a tough start to the season. We got a tough road trip at the end of the season. And we start off a lot of games on the road as well.
It's the Bulls right now. It's the current team that we have. We got a tough season, bro. Like, let's not.
Yeah. I mean, that's
we
true
got a tough
as well.
beginning,
That's true
a
as
difficult
well.
middle,
That's
and a tough end.
I mean, so we started off. So the Pelicans, Milwaukee, Thunder, Grizzlies, Orlando, Brooklyn Jazz, Mavericks, Timberwolves, Hawks, Cavs, New York Knicks, Cleveland Cavaliers again, Rockets, Detroit, Milwaukee, Atlanta, Memphis. That's from October 23rd to November 23rd.
Yep.
Our first 16 games of this season, we could very well know who this team is at that point. And I'm not mad at it. It is what it is. Like at the end of the day, and we'll talk about our record predictions here in a second, but like the fact that we only got 5 nationally televised games, really 2. I'm sorry, I don't count NBA TV as a nationally televised game because we got 3 games on NBA TV, but you got to have a subscription or a certain tier level on your, like, Yeah, it's available nationally, but everybody can't just flip on their TV and turn on the Bulls.
That's also
on
just an
NBA
inferior network. Let's be real. Like when I watch a game on NBA TV, I'm like, why am I watching this game in 2008? Why? What?
Well, I wonder with now, because you remember NBA TV used a lot of TNT's production staff for those games. So now that relationship is going away at the end of this season, it's going to be interesting to watch what NBA TV Well, now they'll probably pick up and use NBC's or whoever's production staff at that point. But like that's just the thing in the back of your head to remember is that for NBA TV games, they're using the production staff of TNT. So
maybe it gets better because NBA TV, all it really is the training for people to go into other things, right? It's really for the people that don't know is that's where they put a lot of the players that want to get into media. That's where they put a lot of the players that maybe aren't as polished, right? Like that's kind of where you start off at. That's why you see my favorite is still see Jim Boylan over there. So what the heck is he doing here?
What are you doing here?
Him giving the worst breakdown of all time on a player. That mug said, you see the small forward here, he throws it down to the power forward. And I'm like, first off, that's freaking Chris Middleton and Giannis. Like, these are easy names to know, dog. Like, what are we doing here right now? He's like,
see, and that's why he was such a bad coach. You didn't know the names of Giannis Antetokounmpo and Chris Middleton?
Didn't even try, bro. I was just sitting there like, what the heck? He's like, you see this turnaround and bucket. I was like, what did you break down? I saw that. You didn't tell me nothing about the play they were running. But no, I just like to me, I think this season, what the heck just happened to the background?
What happened there?
What's going on here, my guy?
That's I've never seen that happen before. That's crazy.
No, but I think that this season is going to be a tough one for the Bulls, and I think that this is a time early in the season that you're really going to see what this team is made of, not only just talent-wise, but also mentally. Yeah. And I don't know if you get to start off in a rough patch. I mean, we're 4 years into this. At what point does the calls for Billy Donovan's head get too loud if you start off in a rough patch?
I think the calls have kind of been there, but like I think that Kane Eversley said, "Hey, we're not accepting any the subscriber you've reached out to.
We're not accepting your charges."
But I mean, all jokes aside, I do think that this is a season where we'll see, like Billy Donovan. As a college coach, the one thing you should be able to bet on them is development. Now, he's had situations where he hasn't had to develop a whole lot. He still developed some guys, Lou Dort, that first season at SGA under him. But this is going to be a season where, because we've gone younger, is going to be important. And if we see the same old Billy Donovan where we're not developing, I wonder if that does cause the front office to maybe consider something different, which we talked about last week in the rumor that came out about the Bulls going with a younger coach that focuses on development. But overall, I'll say this season, it's all about telling the Chicago Bulls how much do they need to focus on the future and how much is the future already on this roster. We already knew that it's going to be the same. It is what it is. That's just my thought process. But before we get out this segment, though, Pat, let's put it on wax. Wins and loss predictions for the Bulls this season.
Man, I am going to say. The schedule made it worse. I'm not going to lie. I still was around 38, but the stretch of games that they have, I think is going to be tough. Give me 35 and 47.
I'm still sitting between 30 and 35 wins. That's still where I sit. I don't really think
I'm
much
still at the
with
top of it right now. Yeah. I'm at the top of the 35 because for me it was 35 to like 38. I thought the Bulls could still win 38. I thought they could still be in the mix. For a play-in spot and stuff like that. And we'd be happy about that because you're getting in the play-in with probably mostly your young guys out there. But yeah, I think it's going to take a second for this team to gel with Josh Giddey out there. I think that, maybe even if they get off to a hot start, teams will start to figure them out because we've seen that multiple seasons too, right? Where the Bulls get off to a nice stretch. You're like, oh, okay, maybe we got something here. Up there it went. Okay, all right, that's out the window. But yeah, I'm not expecting a great season, but I don't think that this is a hopeless season.
That's fair. I like that. I like that. And I mean, here's the thing. It really comes down to one of the hardest things to project are how players are going to develop and what work, how they're going to come into this offseason and the work they've done in the offseason is going to help this season be better for them. We don't really know that. Kobe, love seeing the workout videos from Kobe. He's been killing it. Him and Io have been pretty consistent. We've recently started getting Patrick Williams working with dribble too much. We saw that video, which, something that everybody wanted to see. So, we'll see. I hope that this team does come out and they kill it. I wouldn't be mad at that. But yeah, we'll see how much of that future investment needs to be the focus rather than how much we're ready to contend now. But with that said, next up, we're going to be talking about the Bulls signing of Kenny Lofton Jr. and how we feel about that signing. But before we get into that, we got to talk to you guys about a message from BetterHelp. What are your self-care non-negotiables? Maybe never skip leg day or therapy day. When your schedule is packed with kids, activities, big work projects, and more, it's easy to let your priorities slip. Even when we know what makes us happy, it's hard to make time for it. But when you feel like you have no time for yourself, non-negotiables like therapy are more important than ever. If you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out the brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Me and Pat have been telling you guys for years now at this point, taking care of your mental health is important. Just like you go to the gym, you don't wait to go to the gym till something's wrong. You like to go in there, get a work. Well, some of y'all do wait till something's wrong, but nonetheless, you like to get in the gym and tune in. Therapy is that same thing for your mental health. So never skip a therapy day with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. You didn't do a sound effect on that transition. What happened there, Pat? Okay, I was about to say, it's a little disappointing. You set a precedent now. We're talking about a precedent being set. The Bulls have continued to set a precedent on how many centers can you have on a roster under 7 foot. This time they signed Kenny Lofton Jr.
That was great. Well done. Well done. 1,000 points to you, sir. That was phenomenal.
Now, I actually like this signing, Kenny Lofton Jr. He got signed to an Exhibit 10 deal. Yeah. What this does for people that don't know, Exhibit 10 deal is basically a training camp deal. It allows flexibility. You can convert it to an actual NBA roster spot, or you can convert it to a two-way deal. If they end up making it through your training camp roster and being on your G League team, I think what is it, 6? It's a number of games or days. They get a little extra money. This is the same thing they did with Derek Favors last year. He ended up being in the G League. I think that's the goal here. Rather than signing him outright to a two-way contract, you sign him to this Exhibit 10 deal, gets him a little bit of extra money on the back end. How do you feel about this signing, Pat?
Listen, I love this signing because I think Kenneth Lofton is somebody that has shown that he can play at this level. Now, I do think that there needs to be a little bit of probably additions made to his game. The biggest one is kind of what we saw in his time in Utah, the assist numbers. If you're going to play in this league as a 6'7", 275-pound player, you have to be able to facilitate the ball. Otherwise, people are just going to say, you know what, we're just not going to let you have the paint because I'm not that worried about you shooting 31% from three on a three-pointer, right? Not to say that he can't improve on that, but to me, I think that a guy like Kenneth Lofton, he has a lot of talent. He's got a strong ability to finish around the rim, which is kind of why people have been very intrigued by him. Yes, he's undersized, but he's in his only time playing over 20 minutes per game, and that was 4 games in Utah. You basically got to see him showcase a little bit of the talent at an NBA level that we got to see when he was on when he has done this repeatedly in the G League and things like that. And so I do like him as a depth piece. I don't know if he's a long-term answer for the Bulls. I don't think that he's a part of the rotation right now, but I do think that he's somebody that having him in this system, having him as somebody who you can develop and work with, that's a good piece to have. And he's somebody that, listen, as Bulls fans, most Bulls fans were excited seeing him come out of college and start in the G League. And I think for most of us, right, when we saw him in Memphis, we were all a little surprised when he didn't get more tick in Memphis. I mean, he basically played like 5 minutes a game in his time in Memphis, and then they just cut him. And we were like, this dude was actually solid. Now, the biggest problem that comes in with the 6'7", 275 is. Not a phenomenal rebounder. So, you got to pick and choose your battles on that. You know what I mean? You got to pick and choose how are you going to utilize him? What are you going to add to his game? What are you going to develop into his game to where you can utilize him on a consistent basis? That's kind of what I want to see from the Bulls now.
The thing is, too, is that he's been a really good rebounder at every level, but even in G League, he's a really good rebounder. So is it the minutes thing? Is whatever, the physicality getting too much to him? But I think when it comes down to Kenny Lofton, it's the conditioning. He got to be better conditioned. And you got at least the energy guy, 6'6", 275 pounds, get that down a little bit. This is a guy who in his first season in the G League averaged 25 minutes, 9.7 rebounds, and 4.1 assists on really good 50% shooting. Look at his college career as well, almost 60% shooting over through college. Last year in the G League, another 56% shooting. So the guy is an efficient player, and he's a pretty skilled player as well. Yeah. But you want to put this into perspective. Nobody's saying he's going to come in here and play a huge role for the Bulls, even if he does make it on the actual roster. This is with the Bulls going younger. I'm not mad at them taking bites at the apple on guys that have upside. He's 22 years old. There's still some upside there. I'm not mad at it.
No, for sure. I just think for me, you've got to add, he just needs, because of the size, because of the weight, he needs things that he can add to his game besides just, I'm going to go in here and bully you out of my way. Keep that part of your game, right? But to me, I think that if he doesn't have the jump shot, if he's not somebody who is facilitating the basketball maybe a little bit more, or right, even at a Vooch level, right? We don't talk about Vooch getting 15 assists a game, but if you give me 6 of them where it's you drive down, everybody collapses on you, you kick it out to the man in the corner because everybody collapsed on you, those are things that benefit the team. I think that's where he'll really see his game flourish at an NBA level. And I think, to me, too, I think it was Paul George, I want to say, said this on his podcast, and you really can see it in Kenny Lofton's game, where every time he comes up, he basically is just trying to show I belong at this level. So he's just going out there trying to dominate as much as he can, and he's not really fitting a role yet. I want to see him developed into a legitimate role here, because listen, I think he has the talent to play at the NBA level, but it's about how are you able to fit in with the team that you have. There is a dream scenario here if you're a Bulls fan that it's going to take a lot for it to work out, but where you've got a front court of Jalen Smith and Kenny Lofton as possibly your future. It's not a bad situation for you to be in, or some rotation of that is able to come in, but you got to be able to develop him into that role. And at the NBA level, all we've seen is, hey kid, it's the end of the season. It's your world. Go.
Yeah, I would say one thing: if he does end up on the Windy City Bulls, that's going to be a physical team. They're going to be just beating people up. Him and Adama Sanogo, they're just beating people up. Could you imagine? You just got done having to guard Adama Sanogo for a 5 to 8 minute stretch, and he goes sit down. You're like, man, and Kenny Lofton's the one that comes in after him. He's like, hey, what are we doing here?
That or the Windy City Bulls, they do got Billy Donovan's son out there, so we know he's going to play an undersized center. Why not play 2 of them, right? So don't be surprised if you see them both on the floor at the same time. Just you spin off of Adama Sanogo and Kenny Lofton coming down the paint, dang. This is gonna suck.
No, but overall, I like this. I like the signing for what it is. And yeah, the Bulls just continue to go that younger direction. And when you're doing that, now having, theoretically, you got Adama Sanogo, DJ Stewart, and Kenny Lofton Jr. in your 2-way contracts. Here's the last question on this segment before we get off it, just because people have asked this. The only way that we can create an open roster spot is by waiving or cutting Ernolat Batum. Do you do that? Do you think the Bulls do that to make this spot for Kenny Lofton Jr.? Do you think they keep Batum on the roster? Keep in mind, he's fully non-guaranteed up until the start of the season, and then after the season, you have until a date in January to where he's partially guaranteed, to where you can still come off the contract and not have to eat the full contract.
I don't care. Neither of these dudes are finna play. I hoped that Owner Albertine was gonna play, but I I just don't think that he's a serious part of this rotation. AK keeps signing these dudes from overseas, telling them, come on over, we'll get you in here. And then we just never play him. I would love to see Batum out there because I think he's somebody that can stretch the floor. We also know that he can play above the rim. But I don't have a belief that Billy Donovan's going to play him. And as much as I like Kenny Lofton Jr., I don't think Billy Donovan going to play him either. I just don't, bro. Like, now, the fact that his nickname is Gen Zebo is pretty phenomenal. I'm not going to lie to you. A little shorter than Zebo, though, but heavier. Zebo was 250. Kenny Lofton is 275. That's a big boy.
That's a big dude, bro.
That's a big dude.
We can use him on the offensive line.
Hey, bro. Hey, listen, if he was playing defensive end, he's setting a run, dog. Yeah,
that's hilarious.
Set that edge, my boy. Hey, before we get into this final topic where we got to talk about Bleacher Report's Bulls prediction, we do want to talk to you guys all about Gametime. Gametime is the easiest place to get your tickets right now for any event. And right now, Gametime's 50% off Labor Day offer for the Diamonds and Diamondbacks and Dodgers is something to definitely keep your eye on. I had the Diamondbacks. There we go. You got to get it out there right. But no. Gametime, I mean, listen, when you're talking about being able to get your tickets all upfront pricing, there is no better place. I utilized the Gametime app when I ended up going to the Hall of Fame game because, yes, I can sit in the media seats, but I like to sit among my people. I like to be with the fans. So I was sitting among the fans. Game tickets were $100 at the door. Ended up getting those tickets for $35 right before the game started. So that's pretty close too. It's actually a nice stadium. It's like a college feel in there. Really nice. So much to do. So much easy opportunities for you to get these tickets. Might as well go out, utilize them on Gametime. Lowest price is guaranteed. Event cancellation protection is also there as well. And you get 24-hour return guaranteed. So make sure that you guys are logging in with Gametime right now. All you got to do is download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed.
All right, Pat, before we get up out of here today, man, one last topic to go over, and that is Bleacher Report had 3 predictions for the Chicago Bulls season. Interesting predictions that I wanted to go over with for you. This first one was Josh Giddey ranks in the top 3 of triple-doubles in the 2024-25 season. How you feel about that prediction? He's been in the top 10 every year of his career so far.
I will say that is a... Top 3 is tough. I will say that is I would buy that. I would buy that. That he'll be top 3 because I think that there's just the 10 assists for him. I don't think will be difficult with this team because I do think that he will create things for shooters. I think having Kobe White will also help with that. Still having Vooch down low, like that's the part that's really under talked about because we're just so ready to move on from all of the guys who aren't basically 22 on this team. Like the pick and roll with Josh Giddey and Nikola Vucevic is going to be something to watch because those guys are actually going to be able to really utilize that well. And even Vooch being able to get it back to Giddey. I mean, you're talking about having to guard 6'8" and a 7-footer. That's always a fun combination. Rebounding wise, I do think that he'll be a part of that because of how we saw Lonzo rebound in this offense, right? Take it off of the glass, push the tempo. And then, I mean, points wise, yeah, I think he'll be above 10 points a game. So yeah, I'll buy that he's a top 3 in triple doubles this season.
Yeah, the thing is, last year, him being on a down season, he still ranked 8th, made me realize, like, there's a good chance he'll be in the top 3. I think he's going to have the ball in his hands a lot. Yeah. He's going to get opportunities to rebound. So, yeah, I don't think that's an off prediction at all to have him in the top 3. I don't think he's going to lead the league in triple doubles at all, but I think he can definitely get in that top 3.
Not with Russ still in the league.
Just for reference to last 2 seasons have been the same players in the top 3. The The rotation has changed some, but do you want to guess who the last 2 seasons have led the league in triple doubles, top 3 in triple doubles?
Tyrese Halliburton.
No, not even in the top 5.
Really?
Yeah.
Tyrese was balling. Well, he didn't play most of last season. That's true.
Matter of fact, Tyrese Halliburton, according to this, has never been in the top 10 of triple doubles in the NBA since his career started.
I'm actually surprised by that. From
I am too.
Before. Season before, he was a triple double demon. Is Russ still on there? Is Russ still up there?
No.
Okay. Oh, this is tough. Last 2 seasons, leading the league in triple doubles. Is there an obvious one on there?
Yeah.
LeBron?
No. You want me to just tell you?
Yeah, who am I missing?
So last season, number 1 was Domantas Sabonis with 26 triple doubles.
I never would have got that.
Nikola, oh really? He's been in the top 3 the last 3. The last 3 years. Nikola Jokic at 25 at number 2, and Luka Doncic.
Jokic is the obvious one.
Yeah, Luka Doncic at 3 with 21. And those guys have been in the top 3 the last 2 seasons, the rotation. Luka has been third both years, but 2023, 22-23, Jokic was number 1 and Sabonis were number 2. That flip-flop this year.
Sabonis, I'm not gonna lie, that one surprises me a little bit.
Really?
I don't think of Sabonis as the assist guy on that.
No,
like, I know he can pass the basketball, but I don't think of him as like consistently getting 10 plus assists. Jokic and Luka I should have gotten immediately.
Sabonis almost averaged a triple double last year.
Well, I know he's always close, but I think it's like I don't know. I don't think of him as like 10 plus, but that's dope. I think I might take it back. I don't know if he gets that.
All right. Next up, for the next prediction for Bleacher Report, Jalen Smith leads the Bulls in center starts next season.
No.
Okay.
Nikola Vucevic will be here for most of the season.
Yeah, we know. But did we talk? That may have been an episode I did without you. It came out that the Bulls promised Jalen Smith an opportunity to win the starting center position.
Oh, yeah, that sounds great. I knew about it. Yeah. Hey, look, you have an opportunity. Go beat that dude that's still 18 and 11, even though he's old.
No, I agree. Hey, I agree.
I like it. I like that they promised him an opportunity.
He
like,
does
guess
kind of
what?
fit. I can understand why this is a prediction because Jalen Smith kind of fits what we think the Bulls' motif is going to be as far as getting out in transition, like in a run. He's a better floor spacer theoretically than Vooch with his 3-point shooting percentage. But at the same time, like, you're going to bring Vooch off the bench to run with Ayo?
Listen, I think that would be a perfect scenario for the Bulls to bring Vooch off of the bench to actually like do some stuff off the bench because I think he will always.
It's not the question if it makes sense. It's the question of will the Bulls do it.
Exactly.
That's the question there. Like, it makes sense. Is that
I just love the promise of an opportunity. Like
the promise of we promise you the chance to have the chance to go out there and
you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
But it's like technically in the training camp, everybody has a chance. Like, it's like, what you doing?
You know.
All right, last prediction from Bleacher Report. This one was the one I was like, you just needed to make 3. Patrick Williams' name pops up in trade talks. Everybody's name pops up in trade talks.
Yeah.
Our names are in trade talks. That doesn't mean it's valid. Like,
I'm going to a new team. Patrick Williams' name pops up in trade talks. Yeah, his name popped up last year. Although, you know what? I will say this, though.
There's a difference between trade rumors and trade talks.
I think it's maybe
the distinction they're trying to make here, but go ahead, Pat.
If I'll give Bleacher Report credit on this because this is kind of it's kind of a he has to do this for his name to pop up in trade talks. If Pat Will is the same player, I don't think his name pops up in trade talks. If he's the 9-6 guy or the 11-6, whatever he finished at last season, I think the guys are just like, all right, that's cool. Like maybe he's an ancillary piece, but I don't think that his name is like, I'm assuming what they're saying is that his name is leading trade talks. If he's the same player he was last year, I don't think that people will be clamoring to go get.
The thing that they have here is just that if his game doesn't have discernible growth, that the Bulls could look to move him, considering he's on a decent contract and he could play a role on any team.
I take it back then because that makes no sense. Why would I be calling if P. Will is the same dude that he was last year?
Because as we talked about before, Pat, there are people with those numbers that, like, for teams that didn't draft him number 4, I could see teams looking at Pat and saying, especially if they're close, and saying, no, we can use a guy who can defend pretty well and can shoot the ball at 40% and doesn't need a bunch of shots to do that. And I can see it being that. I'm not saying that they're knocking down the door and saying whatever we need by all means necessary, we need Patrick Williams, but I can't see a world in which that can happen.
I mean, me too, I guess, but I don't think it's the world that we live in.
The Pat on Pat crime is crazy.
It is what it is, man. This man's been the same dude since he left. Actually, he's been the same dude since his sophomore year of college. He's at the same numbers, same game style, same stats, same questions. I don't know, man. But I guess I'll give that a shot. I don't know. That's the Patrick Williams. I agree with you. They needed 3. They were just like, think of something.
Do it now. Any last thoughts? Pat,
appreciate y'all for tuning in. Show love. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. You can follow us on everything at Locked On Bulls. You can follow me on everything at Pat the Designer. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love.
You guys can follow me at CEO Haize. I want to thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Locked On Bulls. We are free and available on every podcasting app and platform of your choice, as well as YouTube. For Pat the Designer, this has been Locked On Bulls. We out here, y'all. Peace.